We are going to start off with this acrylic clipboard. Now, these come in a pack of either 6 or 12. I can't exactly remember, but please note all the materials used in this video will be in the description below, so you can have links. Some will be affiliate links for you to save. Some I don't have discount codes for you, so you can just click and use them if you want, or no pressure. You don't ever have to use any of my links. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off where the clip is. The reason I'm doing this is I want to protect and make sure that it does not mess with the integrity of the clipboard. I have had an issue with it before where I accidentally did not do this step and then I didn't check it before I shipped it to my customer. And then she got it and she's like, hey, I can't get any paper under it. Like, is this supposed to happen? And I literally remember checking every single one. So that one must have just slipped right through. But she was very sweet and I sent a replacement. So we got all that situated. So avoid those small little headaches. This is a little tedious, but I promise it's worth it. You want to make sure what I was just pointing at a moment ago is you don't want UV resin or epoxy, if you decide to do this with epoxy, to get in that sliver of metal between the metal and the acrylic part. Then after that, I am just taking painter's tape and I'm going to tape the entire front side of the clipboard where the metal piece is, because we are only going to design the back. This is my preference. There is no rule book that says you have to do it this way. If you prefer doing where the clip is, then you do that. I am doing a tutorial based off of how I normally make my clipboards. So you're going to tape this off completely and then I will show you what we do next. So as you see me doing, I am just taking my X-Acto knife and it is much easier for me to flip it over and try to get it on a flat surface so that I can cut off the excess around the edges and around the corners there, just to make sure I get all of the painter's tape. Here's what we don't want. We don't want any painter's tape on the surface that we are working on. So remove as much as you can while still trying to protect the part that's taped up, but not interfering with your actual canvas, which for me happens to be the back of this clipboard. So I basically just take my little X-Acto knife and carefully trim away at things. I am not the best with an X-Acto knife, as you can tell, so maybe just do as I say and not as I do. I may not be the best example walking around with an X-Acto knife. Once you are finished, you're going to have something that looks like this. And now we are ready to take it outside, and I'm going to spray paint this with a white base. So I'm just going to grab what I already have, and I literally grabbed 4 glitter shaker bottles. These all happen to be the same size, the same height. All the lids are in perfect shape, so it's going to give me a very leveled surface to work on. And we love that for us because it may not matter now that we're spray painting, but it will very much matter once it's time to put UV resin or resin on the clipboards. Now I am just taking a spray paint by Color Shot. The color is Head in the Clouds. Now you can use any spray paint of your choice by any brand of your choice. This is the only white one that I currently have in stock, but Rust-Oleum works fine, or Montana can spray paints also work fine. You could also totally use a matte acrylic paint or chalk paint if you'd like. I didn't feel like waiting for that to dry, which is why I used Color Shot. Out of all of my spray paints, they tend to dry the quickest. So right after that, what you see me using here is inside of this little squeeze bottle. I got them in a pack of 2 from $1.25 tree store, and it's just Mod Podge. So you can apply your glitter using UV, you can apply it using epoxy, you can apply it however you like. I'm using Mod Podge. Don't ask me why, I just kind of felt too lazy to mix epoxy, even though whatever. Anyway, so I'm kind of just spreading out my Mod Podge as evenly as I can. I should have used a wider brush to kind of get this done quicker. I don't know why I do this to myself, but I was probably watching the Rebelde novela, so I was a little distracted. Anyway, Just spread this as evenly as you can. We don't want any of those thick streaks that you currently see on my clipboard. You want to just try to get it as smooth as possible, and then eventually I do kind of remove the excess, but we want as evenly as we can get these strokes to appear, because I am using white glitter and you will be able to see absolutely everything underneath of that. So if I leave a big clump of Mod Podge, you're going to be able to see the mountain of glitter that sits on top of it. So do that, and then it is Mod Podge, so I gotta work fast. I'm in Texas. Everything dries quickly here, or burns, you know, just depends. It's also been miserably hot, so as soon as I am, as you can tell, I like to go over things over and over again. As soon as I'm done, we are going to sprinkle our choice of glitter. I am going with a white opal glitter from Peachy Olive Glitters called Snow Angel, and I am an affiliate for them, so you can use code Myra10 to save at checkout. I will have their info below, but it is a beautiful opal glitter. It is one of my favorite white glitters right now, and as you can see, it like has so many, it looks like confetti inside of a white glitter. It's not like that pure white that reminds you of like skiing in Colorado or anything like that. It has like purples and blues that you can see in there, and pinks, and I really like the color shift within it. But anyway, this is the glitter that I'm using. You use what you want. I dumped all of my glitter on here, and I am literally going to wait about 30 minutes before I even touch my clipboard to dump the excess. You are more than welcome to just pick up your clipboard now and dump it. There was actually a project right next to this that I was working on that I was like, I don't need glitter flying into this. So I actually waited, I came back, and it's been like, I don't know, 25-30 minutes. I removed my glitter bottles from underneath that were holding my clipboard up, and just dump it. Pick up the excess, put it back into your container, glitter container, and now we are going to allow this to dry just a bit longer. Once this dries, you are going to want to tap the excess off before you seal. I am using my favorite sealer, which is a Rust-Oleum 2x clear gloss spray. You can use matte, you can use semi-gloss. This is actually semi-gloss. Use whatever your little heart desires. We are going to take this outside and give it a nice even coat. I only do one coat on the clipboards. I don't feel like it's necessary to do more, but if you want to be rest assured that it's not going to move, then you can do more than one layer as well. Once that has dried, about 30 minutes after, I'm going to go in with my favorite UV resin, which is by Counterculture DIY, and I am going to just right from the bottle kind of drizzle it all over my clipboard. My first layer is not going to be very heavy, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. If you want to do heavy layers, that's totally up to you. I like to do thin layers just in case, I don't know, one of my glitter shakers underneath isn't level, or I would just hate to have to sand a huge clump off if it's like uneven and not an even surface. But I go in and I basically drizzle the UV resin, and then with my gloved finger, I know I have my entire hand gloved, but you really don't need to use your entire hand. I'm just going to take my finger or two and kind of smooth it out as best and as evenly as I can. When working with UV resin, it's not like epoxy where it's self-leveling, so you want to try to keep most of it like inside of the edges. Pretend there's imaginary lines that are outlining kind of the inner part of the clipboard. You want to try to stay in color inside of the lines, and then very carefully kind of smooth it out all over to the edge. But I find that when you go back in with your second coat, you can definitely see like where you might have missed some, and that's okay. Like you can add another layer I usually add about 3 layers of UV resin. I have also made these with regular epoxy. I kind of sometimes I do UV resin first, and then I'll do my last layer with regular artist resin epoxy from Counterculture. And you can also do it that way. It's totally up to you. Once I have smoothed this out to the best of my ability, you can cure this one or two ways. Here are the ways that I do it. I take my UV lamp just so that the UV resin doesn't move on my way over to the backyard, and I will begin to cure the corners and kind of like the inside of the clipboard. But for a full cure, again, I'm in Texas, I just take it outside and I let direct sunlight hit the clipboard. Literally what I just said. Like, just put it somewhere in your backyard, not in the grass, because then bugs are gonna get stuck to it, but like put it somewhere like on your table, somewhere back there that's getting sun, that the sunlight will directly hit the surface of this clipboard, and I promise you it'll cure in like no time. The main purpose of kind of semi-curing it with a UV lamp is so that my UV resin doesn't move. I don't trust myself to walk outside with it and it not like tilt one way and everything start to drip. So that's just so that it doesn't move, and then I take it right outside and let the sun do its cooking. Once that's done, you are going to take it inside, and as you can see, I already used the sanding block. I have no idea what grit it is, but whatever grit you decide to use will be absolutely fine. I've already sanded it, and as you can see the rough spots, like the spots that look matte on the clipboard, and we're just going to add another layer. So I add another layer of UV resin, and we are going to rinse and repeat the previous step. Spread it out, semi-cure it with a UV lamp, take it outside, let it cure in front of the sun, and then I'm going to bring us to that point. So once the UV resin has cured and hardened, we are ready for the next step, which is putting our patterned transparent vinyl on top of our clipboard. Now for this part, you do want to make sure that for the most part at least that your clipboard is smooth, and as you can tell here, I'm putting it just right over, and I'm going to need a sliver more just because these are 12 by 12 sheets and the clipboard is just a tad bit longer than 12 inches. So we're still going to make it work because this is like a very much a seamless pattern. I'm going to have no problem just cutting out like literally one row of checkered squares and just putting it on the clipboard, and it ends up looking like it's supposed to be that way. So that's what I'm going to do. This patterned vinyl is from North 80, and we do have a discount code that you'll find down in the description of the video. I kind of just eyeball it, I marked it with a little highlighter because that's what I had closest to me, but if you are someone who likes to measure all the way, then you can do that too. I did also leave a little bit of room on both sides just to be able to have a clean cut line once I'm done. So I just start to pull this back. I'm going to cut, about an inch of the backing off, and then that way I have some give to start applying the vinyl directly onto the clipboard. Now, before I start applying this to my clipboard, I am going to get rid of any bubbles I may have created when I first pulled it back. So that's what you see me doing here, is just kind of getting rid of any bubbles underneath. It really does help me with my process of applying it. I'm going to eyeball it, try to center this as much as I can. That's just my way of measuring things, as you can tell. And then once I'm ready to commit, I will stick the top portion of this vinyl down on the clipboard, smooth that out, and then kind of just let my squeegee, as I'm pushing and applying pressure, kind of remove the backing of the rest of the vinyl all on its own in like one big swoosh. Once you get your vinyl on, if you're anything like me, you always get some kind of bubble underneath. So I just took my X-Acto knife and I kind of just very carefully slice almost like a little bit of the whichever square, whether it's clear or black. This pattern is actually pretty forgiving. You won't be able to see that you cut through the vinyl, and just kind of air that bubble out with your finger or your squeegee or whatever you have near you, and you should be able to just get rid of some of the air bubbles that got trapped underneath that way. Once I did that, I kind of just took this little one row of checkered boxes to apply to the bottom of my clipboard because I'm clearly missing a little bit. So I kind of just started peeling it back and I pretend that it goes along with the pattern. And that's just kind of what I did. There is going to be a little bit, that's left over and extra hanging off the bottom, but we're just going to flip our clipboard over and with our X-Acto knife just get rid of all the excess, kind of like you would on a tumbler. I happen to be cutting right on top of my table, and I'm okay with my X-Acto knife kind of cutting through my table. It's seen worse, so just make sure that whatever you're cutting on, that you're okay with it kind of getting punctured, or if you have one of those self-healing mats, that's also great to cut on as well. We are then going to use our cutting machine of choice and cut out the word teacher with a pink offset. I chose white for the teacher wording and then a pink vinyl for the teacher offset. And we're just going to weed that. And you can also find a link to this particular SVG. I kind of just created it. I took a font, and I don't even know which font I used, but I made it available for you guys on my website. It's free to download. I'm not selling it to you guys. So if you wanted to use it, you're more than welcome to download it, visiting the link that I'll leave in the description below. I'm then using parchment paper to help me line up both the white and the pink vinyl. But if you have a different preference, you do that, whatever works for you. And then I kind of just pull it once I'm ready to commit. And if you get bubbles underneath this, which I did, I wouldn't worry too much about it because we're rhinestoning it. Now, if you were going to put this on a surface like a cup or your clipboard and then leave it alone, it is kind of important that you don't have bubbles because you will definitely be able to see them no matter how much UV resin or epoxy you put on your clipboard. It's just going to show. So it's forgiving because of the method that I'm using and I'm putting rhinestones on. Otherwise, it would not be. I'm kind of trying to measure to kind of sort of be somewhat centered in the middle, but at the same time, like I literally just did it that time and that was it. And then kind of stick my part of transfer tape that's kind of free on the right side. And then again, once I'm ready to commit, then I just kind of remove the backing and put it in place. I kind of I've tried to apply vinyl kind of layered and offset, and as of recently, I've found myself getting a lot of bubbles underneath of it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know if I've lost my touch. I really don't know, but I am really glad that for the tutorial, this would have been such a pain, and I guess that's why I'm kind of emphasizing it, is because like for cups and stuff, like I guess I just haven't had it happen to me, so that would have been a pain. I am putting up my 4 glitter shaker bottles that are going to hold my clipboard up, and I am going to put a lot of UV resin on my clipboard and then just smooth it out, kind of like we did before we added our vinyl. Now, this is the part where our rhinestones are going to be the very last touch to this clipboard. So I need everything underneath to be smooth, no bumps, nothing to be sanded. Take care of all of that now. So for example, this was actually my last coat before rhinestones. If you're doing epoxy method on your clipboard, you would do the same way. You would kind of dome it on your clipboard, but you want to make sure that it's your last layer before you do rhinestones. The reason I say that is because I'm not a fan of putting epoxy over rhinestones. So you just want to make sure it's done. And then the rhinestones are the very last thing that go on the clipboard. Now, once I smooth out this UV resin, I took it outside. I kind of semi-cured it with my UV lamp, kind of like we've done in previous steps. And then I took it outside and let it finish curing in direct sunlight. Okay, so my clipboard is cured and done, and now I am ready for rhinestones. These pink and white rhinestones are from Amazon. They are glass, and they're actually pretty good quality, so I'll be sharing that as well. The pencil, I have found new wax pencils that I absolutely love. The pencils come in a 6-pack, and you can find them at This Is Tisa. These are from Tisa's shop, so I'll link that. Everything will be linked below. The sharpener, I don't know where it's from. Could be Dollar Tree, $1.25 tree store. I'm not really sure. And then the little glue holder is also from Tisa. Now, the reason I love the wax pencil is because you can just sharpen it and get a very pointy tip all over again. And it comes in a 6-pack, and it's really hard to go through these, you guys. Like, they will last me for a lifetime. I'm sure of it. Now, the tip I also got for my squeeze bottle, I actually got this idea from Tisa as well. I saw her using them, and you know, she does a lot of bling, but the reason I like it is because when you squeeze, look at it. It gives you so much control over your glue. And the tips do tend to dry out, like if you've been rhinestoning for a while, but it comes within this big pack of red tips for like not a lot of money. I can't remember off the top of my head, but so you can replace it. You just pull it off and you replace it, and they are so easy to work with. So I'm a fan. As you can see, my clipboard is done. I do have a smooth surface, but you can see the bubbles in my vinyl, and we're just going to pretend they're not there. For my glue, I am using Beacon's Gem Tack glue. You can use the glue of your choice. The reason I'm using this glue is because I really wanted to use this precision tip bottle to have control over my glue. But basically, you just add, a line of glue if you want to kind of fill in the entire white portion of the letter T and then do it that way. Whatever you find easiest, do whatever you want to do. This is my preferred method, and as you can see, adding each rhinestone individually one by one is going to take a while, and I honestly don't know how long this took me because I feel like I worked on this tutorial over a span of days, kind of like whenever I had free time. But I'm kind of using scatter method. For some letters I was like, we're not doing that, we're just going to do honeycomb, and for some I didn't do either. I kind of just put stones right next to each other, and I didn't try to like fill it in because there was no room. So you can't really tell, especially when you see the end result. You really can't tell. So I will be fast forwarding the rest of this, and then we're gonna kind of repeat the process with the pink. Now, did you necessarily need to add vinyl to be able to add your rhinestones on top? No, not really. But for me, it was equal to kind of giving a tumbler a base, a colored base that matches the glitter. I kind of wanted my vinyl to act as a base for my rhinestone colors. Another reason I wanted to work with gem tack and why I prefer working with a different glue. It's called Bob Smith glue, and it's like a 2-part slow cure epoxy that you kind of mix together on a little sticky note. And I love using that glue because I feel like it's the strongest in my opinion, but it's not as forgiving. And for this, I wanted to be able to move quickly, and it takes a little bit longer than gem tack to dry. It's also very hot and humid in Texas, so that did help my glue dry a lot faster. The one that I'm actually using, which is the Beacon's gem tack, but it's more forgiving. There's a couple of times when I thought I would fit a stone and I didn't, and I had to take it off and remove it, and I was able to without it giving me so much drama. And I feel like with Bob Smith, I would definitely get a bit more drama trying to remove a rhinestone once it's like cured in there. So we are just going to repeat the process with the pink. With the pink, I feel like there is a lot of more room to kind of forgive yourself if you make a mistake, or maybe one of your pink stones goes up a little higher and outside of the vinyl, because it's the last kind of, I don't know how to explain that part, but basically you can go over your vinyl and it's not a big deal. With the white, I feel like because it's our inner part of lettering in our offset, it would be very noticeable if you kind of went too far outside of the lines. So with the pink, even if you wanted to add another row outside of it, you could. And I really like these pink stones, and I was a little skeptical about the name because I kind of wanted like a Barbie pink, but it ended up working out. It's fine, it'll be fine. But they do have different shades of pink in that same Amazon link as well. Now, by the time I was done gluing and rhinestoning all of my white stones, it was completely dry for me to be able to start with my pink. If not, I would wait a little so my palm or my hand didn't accidentally move any of the white stones. But it's hot, it's humid. This was very quick to dry, and I kind of just kept going, and I was allowed to just keep putting rhinestones without any problem. Now, if you saw on my Instagram, I made basically like a cup first, and then I was like, we need a matching clipboard to this tumbler. So I actually made this in tumbler form, and then I was like, I need it on a clipboard. So this is kind of what it looked like, and now we're almost done. Now what we're going to do is remove all of that masking tape off. I like to kind of save the long strips to reuse them on a different clipboard, but you don't have to. You just waste less materials as well. So you basically peel everything off, and then I'm going to show you like my way of kind of cleaning it and kind of inspecting it before I ship it off or sell it, or whatever. I am going to use 91% alcohol so that I can wipe it down, because some of the masking tape makes the metal part of where the clippy thingy goes a little sticky. So I just wiped it down. And then my very, very last step is to, after checking to make sure that, these thingies work like the way they're supposed to and that epoxy is not going to get trapped under there, I'm going to take it to my sink and I'm going to wash it. I just use regular Dawn dish soap, and I kind of have like a particular brush just for rhinestones on my tumblers, and I just scrub it really well. And since I'm here, might as well wash the entire thing, right? Take some paper towels and pat it dry, and then I just let the rhinestones kind of air dry. And the reason I do this is just in case any of them come off or pop off while I wash them, I can add new ones before I send it to my customer. And then this was the final look. So I actually really enjoyed making this. I needed it to kind of pair with my matching tumbler. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys soon.